Good morning. Good evening, Sanjay. Good to meet you.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good to meet you.
I could not attend last session. Yeah, madam.
No problem. Anytime based on the availability, right? That's how it works.
Most of the things I come to know from my colleague Ganesh Enurkar sir
Yeah.
and Gauri madam.
Okay. Yes.
On last Saturday, I was busy in conducting the practice.
And you can learn in the process as well.
Yeah, ma'am.
All right. Um, Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to our weekly sessions presented by Go to Fastlane. Topic for today's session is compute, compute basics. And we'll go through the details following. This session is a follow-on session from the basics of IaaS, basics of PaaS, basics of cloud itself to begin with, followed by SaaS, IaaS, PaaS sessions, and then a section on high availability and high performance computing. Last time we had a session on our high performance computing and Oracle Cloud infrastructure, which is essentially the infrastructure layer for any cloud services. And today we'll get into the compute. Okay. Um, as always, our agenda is a quick introduction about myself and Abhishek, and then followed by our session contents. So, quick introduction about myself. My name is Rama Goel. I'm the co-founder of Go to Fastlane. We are an entity based out of Canada. I'm a BITS Pilani alumni. I've been working in the IT industry for 15 years and a professional speaker at several conferences, and both internationally and domestic here in Canada and US. Being a technical author, keep working on reading and writing books. It's always very important to keep learning. And as part of the same initiative, I'm here to teach you with what little I know and learn from you what you know in the field of computing. With that, Abhishek, I'm very glad to be joined by Abhishek Saxena, who's been a mentor in the journey of Go to Fastlane. Abhishek, over to you for a quick introduction.
Yeah. My name is Abhishek Saxena, and I have passed out from YCC in 1996. So from the last 20 years, even when I was in Oracle, in the final year, I have started working on Oracle. At the time, the version was 7.1, and Oracle has released 20C 1 month back. So it's a long journey, and I have a good expertise on, especially on Oracle, Microsoft Azure, Amazon, and Google Cloud Services. That's it about me, and I can help you on the Oracle and as well as on the cloud technology front. Over to you, Rama.
Thanks, Abhishek. All right, moving on to the compute basics. My first question, what is compute? Volunteers, please. What is compute? Okay, we are going to pick names. Sankalp. What is compute? Compute is one of my
Compute
favorite
means
topics.
actually calculating something, or
Correct. The word compute comes from computation, right? From calculation. So compute is about calculating something, right? It could be computing numbers, it could be computing totals, computing averages, computing sums, right? So how does it translate in the world of cloud computing? Might not be that easy as it sounds on a calculator, right? And Abhishek, if you may give the students a quick idea of what compute services are, and then before we move into the details.
Yeah. Basically, compute in terms of cloud. So we need to understand like compute is nothing but a hardware on cloud. And when it comes to hardware on cloud, Oracle is the first company which gives like two types of hardware. One is virtual machine, like virtualization machine, and another one is like bare metal. So more, let's get into the bare metal thing. Bare metal is like there will be no hypervisor, and we explained you. Did you remember what is hypervisor? Anybody? So hypervisor is a layer installed on the top of your bare metal server. Bare metal server is like the plain machine, nothing, no operating system, nothing is there on that. So you purchase the bare metal. On the top of that, you installed hypervisor. Hypervisor convert into virtual machine, gives you the facility to create multiple VM. But if you have not installed hypervisor, that's remain like a bare metal server. Single, and the bare metal is more like a single tenant model because it will have 52 OCPUs. When I say OCPUs, CPU is central processing unit, 52 processors you will get along with that. And that's why it's a single tenant model. The customer who wants to go for the bare metal, they will have a good performance. They will not see any kind of noisy neighborhood, and they will get the full complete machine for their use. Either it's an intranet or internet. Yes,
Right.
please.
And to add to it, right? So what you see over here is the two models of compute, right? How the calculation happens within a server, how the processing happens within a cloud model, right? What we present over here is a public cloud model wherein you have a single tenant and a multi-tenant. In the last sessions, we talked about hypervisor, single tenancy. In the first sessions, we talked about why tenancy is needed, right? And what are noisy neighbor syndromes. And if any one of you does not remember that, I request you to go back to the videos on our YouTube channel and read those, please. Please remember that basics are very important, and that's the reason we spent at least an hour on every service model that we have out there and also available as YouTube videos. I did not hear any answer when Abhishek asked about hypervisor, so please revise the concepts. Otherwise, all these sessions will start getting more and more difficult because that's the technology, right? Technology is not limited to just what you saw in the slide 1 and 2 about infrastructure as a service or platform as a service, right? So over here, what you see are two models. One is single tenancy model, other is a multi-tenancy model. Each have its own benefits, right? So we talked about noisy neighborhood. Noisy neighbor syndrome is affecting the performance of the tenants in the noisy neighborhood, which is the case of second window over here, which is virtual machines, where a hypervisor is utilized to create the underlying servers and spin out virtual machines, right? Whereas in case of a bare metal, you have a dedicated server to perform the compute, right? And you do not get any interruptions in your performance or your service level agreements. Your SLAs are met, okay? The good part of compute is that any compute, be it Oracle or Amazon, you have an option to choose the kind of compute that you want, right? So these VM computes can run on the same hardware. They can, all the single tenants and the multi-tenant architectures, they can be running on the same hardware, but they still leverage the benefits provided by the cloud model. So for example, any ERP system, let's take SAP ERP system. So SAP ERP system provides a facility wherein a whole SaaS, that is SaaS solution, can be available in a single tenant mode or a multi-tenant mode, right? So it's very important for you to understand that yes, there are two models which are available. One is a bare metal model, the other is a virtual machine model. One is single tenant, the other is multi-tenant. One is high performance, low noisy neighbors. The other is less expensive, but more noise, less performance. Anytime you have high performance over here in single tenant model, you're also looking at paying more money, right? So you are owning the entire server. So you have to own the cost of the entire server. Okay, any questions here? So what happens when you
Yeah.
actually create this? Yes, please.
Just those multi-tenant models. What kind of bar is there that this is the moment when we go for a single tenant model, and this is the limitation. This is the use cases where we can go for multi-tenant models, where that neighborhood noise doesn't affects much our performance.
Okay, so Abhishek can take many more examples. I'll stick to the SAP example that I took. So I can have an ERP system installed as a multi-tenant or a single tenant model, right? In a single tenant model is, just take an example of living in an apartment building, right? Or living in a house. When you live in a house, you don't have anybody. You live in a detached house, you don't have anybody around you, right? Who can peep into your windows and get access. Even they cannot access your data, they cannot enter your house, but they can definitely peep into your windows, right? So if they have loud music playing, right, are you affected? Not really. But let's take an example of a condo, of an apartment building, where you have multiple tenants. Somebody living next door playing music is going to affect you. So that's an example of a noisy neighbor. So the trade-off comes, a use case is when you want complete data security, complete data privacy, security regulations as per federal government regulations, right? Or compliance regulations is when you want to definitely go for a single tenant irrespective of the cost. If if cost is not a concern, if cost is the biggest driving factor towards IT optimization, then you have no choice but to get on a multi-tenant model and then implement your own security regulations on top of it, which is going to be enterprise application specific security regulations. And of course, then you have to get additional certifications to be compliant with federal regulations.
Clear.
Wonderful. Moving to the next slide, which talks about processor and memory resources. So while creating these compute instances, right, so you can assign CPU and memory resources by selecting various wide range of resource profiles. Those profiles are also called shapes, and that's what's listed out there. And some keywords that you have to remember, right? So shape. So now we are introduced to another concept called shape. Last time we got introduced to hypervisors, multi-tenancy, single tenancy, virtualization. So over here, resource profiles is what is called a shape, each of which is carefully designed with a combination of what is a processor limit, what is a memory resource required, and these combinations are pre-created by the vendor for you. Okay, these are pre-created by the vendor for you, that is the cloud provider, for you to choose. Okay.
And
Good. Yeah.
Rama, and addition to what Rama said, shape is a very important concept in the cloud world. Uh, Previously, when you go to any vendor like Oracle, you go there and you say like, I want to purchase a hardware which should have 8 CPU and 200 gig memory and this much of storage. Now if you want to go to any cloud vendor, either Oracle, Amazon, Google, or Azure, you will say what kind of shape I'm going to get for my server or for my requirement. And that they will come up with that, like, 2 OCPUs, and generally one OCPU comes with a 15 GB of memory. So in the multiple of OCPUs or memory, you can acquire that one. So I said, like, if I need 4 OCPUs, I'm going to get 15 multiplied by 4. Uh, uh, it will be 60 gigabyte of memory and block storage. Last time we explained what is block storage, what is object storage. That can be like storage that you can purchase. Over to you, Rama.
Absolutely. And continuing on the same thing, right? So this is how you see the chart of what is available, what is not available as pre-configured by the cloud provider, right? So network bandwidth is based on the expected bandwidth of the traffic within a VCN. So what is a VCN? We talked about VCN in the last session. Anybody remembers what is VCN?
Virtual compute network.
Nope. So these small little words make a difference, right?
Yep.
If you don't take notes, if the team doesn't take notes, how does it help? I have told you earlier as well. We will we will do the session, we'll go away, right? But you're not going to get benefited. Okay. So take this as an assignment, come back to us and tell us what VCN is. Okay. Abhishek, please walk them through the slide and the next slide as well.
Okay. So especially like as Rama said, like, VCN and virtual cloud network or virtual private network in terms of Amazon. So any data center, you have seen your computer lab, and you always get some kind of IP, like 192.167.100.22. What is that? That is part of your VCN network. So anything you created physically within the data center, same thing kind of data center you can create on the cloud. You need to decide the range of your IPs. So that is like virtual cloud network. We will come back to on later. Going back to shape, there are multiple shapes. We are providing you some of the example here. VM means bare metal, standard 2 machine. 2 is the version of that machine. 0.52. 52 means 52 OCPU. This is X7 based. X7 means X7 exadata machines, and that's what you are going to get. If you ask Oracle, I need VM standard 2.52, you will get 52 OCPU, 768 gigabytes of memory, block storage, which is connected to your server. You need to define, you need 10 terabytes or 20 terabytes, and the network bandwidth, like 2 into 25 Gbps. These are like your NIC cards or network bandwidth card, along with the maximum NICs you can configure, 24. And amount we have shown, like it's an example, how do you calculate based 0.06 cents for per hour against these processors. So 52 multiplied by 0638. If I consider one OCPU, that is going to run for 744 hours within a month. If you calculate, so 744 multiplied by 52 OCPUs, that numbers of hours you are going to get, and the price will be 744 multiplied by 52 multiplied by 0.0638. That's how Oracle is going to bill you. Next is dense IO. When you have a footprints, very high footprints, you have a retail shop like Big Bazaar, or if you have a shop like where the small transactions are happening continuously. So at that period of time, Oracle suggests, or any vendor suggests, you should go for a dense input output kind of machine. Are you guys aware about the IOPS, input output per second? What is input output per second in terms of database? If you have not gone through that, please find out, read it, and if you are not getting that one, ask us, we will reply back to you. But it's like writing and replying data from the speed. So IOPS is like input output per second. So dense IO 52 768. This is and the dense IO comes with the NVMe SSD storage, which is the fastest one right now available in the market. And that's why dense IO is heavily used for HPC, high performance computing machines. Like now Mercedes is doing the crash testing on this one only. So this is more about, you can go through all these slides. Go to next slide, please. Again, we are giving you the shapes in terms of, last time in the last slide we talked about the bare metal. Here we are talking about the virtual machine. It's a multi-tenant environment. You can see one OCPU, you are getting 15 GB of memory, block storage you need to see. Network bandwidth, you are going to get 1 Gbps. Maximum NIC you can connect to. And these are the other shapes like 2.2, 2.4, 2.8, VM standard 2.8. It means it's 8 OCPU, 120 gig of memory. Go to next slide, please. So this is again available shapes. This is belongs to a previous generation. Oracle is now providing, or any vendor is providing, in fact, standard 2. Now this is the old one, standard VM standard 1. Still some of the customers are going with the old technology, old VMs. They can get one OCPU with the 7 GB of memory. So if you have a requirement, or if your project is coded in such a way that you can run those programs only on VM standard 1 technology, then you need to go with this available shapes. Please, next slide. So as I said, NVMe SSD device, these are locally attached SSD, and these are very well protected. So OCI provides no rates. When I will talk about the rate, it means redundant array of independent disks and snapshot backup capability for those devices. And this is one of the fastest device available in the market, guys. So 4 drive of NVMe, it will give you 12.8 terabyte of raw storage. Definitely you can use on like, command, you can see like lsblk, and it will give you like, you can then divide that particular, you can say storage into U01, U02, and then you can install it. So NVMe is one of the best in the market, and customers basically, customer is responsible for durability of data on the local SSDs. So local SSDs are always a challenge, and that's why people are going with the NVMe.
What is NVMe?
This is NVMe is like NVIDIA medium SSD, Rama, storage.
Yes, yes. And that was a question for the students.
Oh, okay. So,
Find out what is the full form of NVMe, please. Okay. So
okay.
you got two things to find out. One is VCN, the other one was NVMe. All right.
Okay. So as I was explaining, what is RAID? Like in computer storage, the standard RAID level, basically redundant array of independent disks bring together, and then based on that you do the striping, you do the mirroring, you do the parity to create multiple data storage. In case of like RAID 1, basically you are going to write A in the first disk, B in the second disk, right? And then C and D. So it is creating the mirroring of your data. So in case of the first disk gone down, still you have some data on the other disk. So there are multiple ways to do this, and there are methods like RAID 0, RAID 1, RAID 2, RAID 3, and up to RAID 9. But most of the time customer goes with the RAID 6 because it's provide you the basic like uh, uh, like mirroring, striping together, and at the same time it give you the maximum performance. And these rates are given by the generally called as a SNIA, Storage Networking Industry Association. This practice RAID has been invented by the SNIA. You guys need to learn more about that, then only you can, because these are most of the time networking fundamentals. So it is little bit tough, but definitely try to remember what is RAID, RAID. Try to read more about that. And basically RAID level can give you the good protection against recovery from hardware defect, as well as like storage failure. Again, this is bare metal dense IO 512 options. You can get RAID 6 across all 9. You will get 10 disks of storage, but out of which RAID 6 will be applied on each one, and single one with 23 8 terabyte of usable space that will survive the failure of any two device. So once you will divide those disks in a volume, still any two device can fail anytime, but still you will get the data. That's the beauty about that. Like you have 1 to 10, and suppose your disk number 2 and 4 is not working. In the normal scenario, if one of the disk is not working, you will not get the data. But in case of if you have applied RAID on the top of that, RAID 6, out of 10, 2 of your disks are not working, still you can manage to get on run their business. So it is basically used for business continuity. Okay. Again, these are some of the templates. Once you will go, guys, mute yourself. Okay. So once you will go to images, like there are multiple images are available on cloud. Every vendor provides that images. So like if you want to use Ubuntu, if you want to use Red Hat, if you want to use Oracle virtual machine, if you want to use Windows Server. So that's the beauty. You can go and download. You can go and download on the top of your compute instance. We will show you once in maybe in the next session, once we will have all the accounts detail, and you can install on your virtual machine. Once you will create like a compute environment, on the top of that you can install all this operating system, and it will just take 1 minute, not more than that. Definitely you need to come up with your licenses, because Windows needs licenses. This is more related to custom image. Suppose, Rama, next to custom image. Hello.
Yes, I'm
I,
trying.
yeah, I think next is like custom image. How custom image is different from the regular image. Suppose some of my customers are using open source kind of operating system. They have developed their own system. They have developed their own hypervisor, right? And now they say like, Abhi, I want to run this on Amazon or EC2 instance, or I want to run this on Azure or maybe on Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. So what we suggest them, create the VMDK image of your current server through VMware. If you need to take the image of that server and try to upload using object storage. You need to upload into the object storage of vendor, and from there you can create the instance. So that is nothing but a lift and shift, and it happens very quickly. Something happened. Lost Rama. Hey Rama. Okay. So I think there are some technical glitches that always happens. So guys, this particular thing you need to go through couple of times. Like what is shape, what is red 1, red 2, red 3. These are, see, you need to understand. Previously, all these things learned by the network administrator. But now that those things have gone, being as a developer, you need to compute your environment. You need to, okay, you need to, you need to do everything. So that's why these fundamentals are very important for you. Rama made me host. Let me share.
Go ahead, Abhishek, please.
Yeah, just a moment. This will stop other screen sharing. Do you want to continue? And let me share. Can you see?
I'm sharing the screen, Abhishek. You can continue.
Okay.
Can you
Okay.
please stop sharing your screen, Abhishek?
Yeah.
You're sharing personal
Yeah.
documents.
Okay. So can you share your screen, Rama? I'm
Yes,
not
I was.
Okay.
Can you please confirm? I apologize. I had a technical challenge. I had to shift computers. Can you all see the screen, Abhishek? Can you please confirm?
Yes, now we can see that.
Okay, sorry about that.
So coming back to this slide, once you will have a cloud account, once you log in into the any cloud vendor, the first thing first, you need to create compartment. Compartment is nothing but a, like, to divide the particular product or isolate the particular resources within those compartments. Like create one compartment for production, one compartment for development, one compartment for test. So they are isolated from each other. So nobody can peep into the other's account. But once you assign the compartment, then you can specify image resources within that compartment, and you can create your bare metal or virtual machine, or you can create virtual cloud network, VCN, subnets, and you can create the complete environment. So these concept will come later on once you will see, like, but just for right now, understand what is compartment. Compartment is a place where you can keep your all the cloud resources at a place, and you restrict it with your policies defined by the administrator or by yourself. So these are all the new concepts, guys. You need to definitely go through that and then come back to us, like, and once you will, like the fifth point, launch a compute instance using the key here. How you are going to connect to compute instance? So, or you cannot directly connect. You need to create some kind of private and public keys, SSH keys. And private keys basically you will use to connect to particular instance, and then you will able to run SQL developer, uh, Toad, or maybe like your SQL prompt, whatever, or Python prompt, or root prompt. So for connecting to particular instance, you need something called private and public key that need to be created once you will install or once you will connect to on cloud. These are again like public IP or not. You need to decide when you will design your architecture. You need to decide what should be the public, what should be the private, and that's where the VCN concept and subnet concepts are very handy. Go through that, and maybe we will cover VCN or VPN in the next within like next 2 weeks or next few weeks. But before that, I will recommend you to go through that and learn more about that. This is how once you will log in into the cloud vendor, you will see these information. As I said, you have given launch in compartment, init, Oracle, Rohit, root. So my tenancy name, where my account name is, init, Oracle, Rohit, and root. That's the main compartment. Within that compartment, I can create multiple compartments like production, test, tab, depend upon my requirement. And you need to fill all this information. I'm going to use image sources. I'm going to use custom image. Am I going to use boot volume? Am I going to use image OCID, OSID, or provided image by the vendor? Okay. What kind of shape? I'm going to decide, like, I'm going to use bare metal machine. I have decided BM standard 2.52. It will give me 52 CPUs, 52 multiplied by 50. It's a huge, big server. Image build, I have seen there are ready-made images available on the marketplace of every vendor. I will download those images. And virtual cloud network, I have defined my virtual cloud network before launching any instance. And that's why I'm saying DC and DMZ, demilitarized zone. But I have defined that already there. And then you can assign, because every vendor generally assign their IPs already. But you can also bring your IPs here. And the next phase, SSH keys. As I said, like, you need to provide certain keys or public keys here to access those instances. So everything is now graphically. You can give all these instructions in one shot, and your instance will be ready within like 20-25 minutes. So the things are shifting from on-premises environment. Previously, this was the job of all the network, DBAs, or infrastructure guys. But now it's the job of even the developers who want to spin off any instance. So he need to take care of everything. And that's why, like, you should know even the infrastructure apart from your coding skills to do the or develop the product. Go to next slide, please. So see, once you will fill that information, instance will come into the instance will automatically start creating. And once it is ready to use, you will see instances running. You will see a lot of information, primary VNIC information. Your public IP address is there, 192.138.58.200. This is the IP address through which you are going to connect to this instance. Either you can use PuTTY, or PuTTY is a tool. PuTTY is a tool which you can use, connect to any instance, especially the Unix or Windows Unix instance, you can use PuTTY. For Windows, you can use remote. I think some remotes Windows. I'm not familiar on the Windows side, but there is a remote terminal. So you can provide this IP address, give your private IP, private key, and username password. You will be able to connect to the instance. These are more about block volume. I've already explained you block volumes are high performance SCSI LUNs that can be used to provide persistent and durable storage. For instance, this is more connected to your physical server on the cloud. That's block volume. And multiple VNICs, those are part of your network configuration. VNIC card, every server comes with a certain type of VNIC cards. So that information is there. Guys, see, the technology is changing. You need to understand all the infrastructure part too, along with your this. Then the next part is boot volume, serial console access. Boot volume is created automatically. When you launch a compute instance, you can detach. The best part about the cloud is I can detach from the current server VM and attach it to the other VM on the fly. And it will nothing will happen to my system. But in case of, can you do that in terms of on-premises environment? Your system is running and you try to just swap the disk out of it. That will be difficult, right? That will be difficult. And maybe if it is a production, you will go for a toss. But in case of cloud, that's one of the benefits you are going to get. You can detach your current volume and attach it to another server, which is available on the cloud within a moment. Okay, go ahead. This is once you start the server, there are multiple tabs you will see, and this is what we are showing, the instance life cycle. You can start from your console. Console is where you log in on the front end side of the vendor. You can start and stop the instance, then stop, reboot, terminate. Why you do that? Because on cloud you are charged based on the hours. So if you are not using after 8 hours, you should stop your environment, so that you should not be charged. So pay as you go is the model you are going to follow on cloud. If you are working for 4 hours, run that system for 4 hours. After 4 hours, shut down and keep it there. So you will not be charged on that. That's the benefit out of it. Anything else, guys? If you want to know more about that, definitely go through the concept, ask us questions. Whenever we are writing on our Hubster group, we generally share a lot of good material on Hubster, and read those stuff and ask all those questions even on LinkedIn post, so that other community can also get the benefit out of it. And please follow us on LinkedIn, and please follow us on our YouTube channel, and you can utilize this special offer for attendees, associate technical ambassador. If you want to add that in your profile on LinkedIn, that will be really good. It will give you more visibility, and you will be able to connect to lot of other people who are looking for a fresh talent like you. And this is the way I think everybody is aware about that, how to add this one. YouTube channel, now we have uploaded a couple of sessions. You can go through that, learn more stuff, and comment us or tell us what exactly is missing. If you see anything is missing there, please point out. We will rectify, we will provide more information on that. But right now we have just uploaded 12 hours back Anmoldeep's video. Please like and subscribe. Now it's up to you guys how to add the subscribers. Anything else, guys? We have 7 minutes in hand.
I need to ask a little about that detach and attach block storage part. I know about the basics. I know how there can be created images, and then from that image we can create a new block. But is it really possible that we can actually detach a block from an instance and plug it into another instance?
Absolutely. See, because you are not going to do anything physically. Everything is available once you will go to cloud instance. Like, you have created the image instance. You have created one image of your software. What I will do, you are going to console. There will be a tab known as object storage. You will click on that object storage. Your image, VMDK image, is installed on or keep it on your C drive. You will upload that image to object storage, which is attached to your instance. Once it is upload, it will show you that upload is successful. It will give you one URL. And once you will click that URL, right click on that one, I will show you that. And there will be like create instance with this VMDK image. And it will automatically create that image, whatever IP addresses, whatever software installed on those images, it will directly create that image on the top of compute, right? So that is possible. That is very much possible. The block volume generally used for like high performance kind of thing, like where you need IOPS requirement is like, I need a 1 million IOPS per second. High performance computing machines are there, like NASA is using, weather apps they are using, as especially crash testing vehicles like Mercedes, BMWs, these guys are doing. They need more IOPS. So those kind of customers, they try to keep their frequently accessed data into block volume, and the data which is not more frequently used, that is in object storage. Even object storage gives you the same performance as block volume, right? So it's still because object storage is cheaper, block volume little bit expensive. So you need to carefully plan what is non-structured value, non-structured data. I can keep it in object storage, which is more readily used for business, which is frequently used. I want to keep that in either flash cache or in object volume. Yes, please.
Any other questions?
I think 4 minutes early, Rama.
No, great session, Abhishek. Thank you for managing through the technical challenges. My computer crashed. But thank you so much for doing this. All right, students, very technical session, right? So please go through the video, right? And ask us questions. You can always email us. We prefer that you ask us questions on the LinkedIn when we post the link to this YouTube video. We'll share it in the Hubster WhatsApp group as well. So, all right, good. Anything else, Abhishek?
Yeah, I think this is more technical. They need to go through this. They need to write. They need to learn a lot. I think Anmol is having some question.
Okay.
If we do have a few minutes, so there are a few simple terms that came up without any full form, so I have no idea about them as of now. One of them is LUNS, L-U-N-S.
Yeah, that's a network terminology. Anybody who is doing the network part, just go through that. Find out all these terms, guys. LUNS, NVMe, right? SSD storage. All these are part of your computers. You are using those things, but you are not recollecting. Now try to consolidate all these things together. So go through that. LUNS is when you create SAN area network storage, when you create multiple block volumes of disk. So those things defined as a LUNS. Okay. Just try to note down all these things and try to first read to go through that and then come back to us. Definitely. Yeah, Rama, I think we are good.
Yep, absolutely. And anybody in this group who thought cloud was easy, rethink. Cloud is not easy. Okay, guys. So there's a very bad perception on the market that cloud is very easy to do. If you want to be a technocrat and you still want to do cloud, learn the fundamentals of cloud well. Okay? It's much more than what you learn in your curriculum of distributed computing. And same thing, we have been proving and will continue to prove that web development is not easy. We will challenge you in our next session shortly in a few minutes. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you, Abhishek, for doing this session for us. And see you all next week. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Next session.
Thanks.
Thank you.